Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a beautiful day. In today's episode, James finally comes back, bruised and broken, just as the surgery that saves Diep's mother is paid for by the very man secretly destroying her life, James's father. The big question is, when the truth comes out, will James choose the woman he loves, or the father who holds all the power? If this story pulls you in, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. The hospital door slammed open so hard it hit the wall, and for a second, everyone in the corridor froze. "Uncle James!" Nye's voice cracked like thunder in that sterile hallway as she launched herself at the man in the doorway. His white shirt was wrinkled and dusty, one sleeve half rolled, and there was a yellow-purple bruise blooming under his eye. But it was him. It was really him. James caught her with a soft grunt, arms wrapping tight around her small body. For a moment, he just held her, face buried in her hair, like a man who'd survived a storm and finally found land. Behind them, Diep stood rooted to the floor, fingers still clutching the strap of the food container she'd brought for her mother. Her mind couldn't move as fast as her eyes. He was here, bruised, thinner, but here. Diep, he breathed, looking up. The world narrowed. She didn't hear the nurse pushing a cart behind her, or the phone ringing at the desk, or the low murmur of families waiting. It was just his face, that same slightly crooked smile trying to push through the pain, the same eyes that had been nothing but a cold name on her caller ID for too many days. She stepped forward, then another step, until she was close enough to see the cut at his lip and the exhaustion etched deep around his mouth. "James," she whispered, and it came out like a sob and a laugh together. He reached for her like he'd been reaching for her in his sleep. "Sorry I'm late," he said. "I'm so late." Her hand rose on instinct, hovering near the bruise on his cheek. "Who did this to you?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he glanced toward the ward where her mother was resting after surgery. "How's Mom?" he asked softly. "Stable," Diep said, swallowing back everything else. "The doctors say the surgery went well. They're keeping her under observation tonight." "Thank God," he exhaled, shoulders sagging. The relief in his face was so raw it made her chest ache. "I tried to get here before they wheeled her in. They didn't let me." "They?" she repeated, already knowing the answer. He flinched, just a little. "We'll talk," he promised quietly. "Not here. Not in this hallway." Nye clung to his neck, peppering his bruised jaw with questions. "Where were you? Why didn't you call? I ate so much rice so you'd say I grew. You didn't see." "I see now," he said, forcing a smile for her. "Look how tall you got. You're making me look short." She giggled, the sound trembling with leftover tears, and for a moment, the heaviness broke. Diep watched them, the two people she loved most tangled together under harsh hospital lights, and felt something inside her loosen for the first time in weeks. It was like someone had opened a window in a room that had been shut up too long. But the fresh air carried other scents too. Fear, anger, questions. James's bruise, the mysterious transfer paying for her mother's surgery, the red stamp with his father's company name on it. Gratitude and resentment sat side by side in her chest, jostling for space. They walked into the room together. Her mother looked fragile but peaceful, oxygen line at her nose, hands still fidgeting like they always did when she slept. James bowed his head respectfully at the foot of the bed. "Mom," he said softly. "It's James. I'm here." Her mother's eyelids fluttered, and for a second everyone held their breath. She didn't wake, but her fingers relaxed, as if her body believed him even if her mind was still drifting somewhere between worlds. They stayed like that a long time. Diep on one side of the bed, James on the other. Nye curled up on the visitor's chair with her head on a folded jacket. Nurses came and went. Machines beeped. The IV dripped its steady rhythm. Finally, as the sky outside the small window shifted from gray to deep blue, Diep slipped out to the balcony with James. The air was cooler there, heavy with the smell of rain that hadn't fallen yet. Down below, motorcycles threaded through the parking lot like fireflies. "Tell me," she said quietly. "All of it. No more signal was bad or work was busy. Look at you, James." She gestured at his face. "Don't tell me you bumped into a door." He leaned on the railing, staring out into the dark. For a long moment he said nothing. When he finally spoke, his voice was hoarse. "When my father found out I came back to see you," he began. He called it a weakness. He said men with responsibilities don't let women distract them. That this, he motioned between them, was making me soft. Diep's jaw clenched. "He sent me to that site in the mountains," James continued. "No signal most of the time. Company driver, company phone, always someone watching. I thought if I just finished the project, proved myself, he'd calm down. Then I heard things. That you were struggling. That the market stall was gone." "You heard?" She cut in, surprised. "Rumors," he said. Half sentences on calls he thought I wasn't listening to. He said, "She will understand when you're successful." I kept asking for a few days off to come back. He kept saying, "After we sign this, after we close that." Every delay felt like another brick in a wall between us. He rubbed the bruise under his eye and winced. "A week ago, I overheard one of his men talking about you, laughing like you were just an obstacle. They mentioned Nye. That was it for me. I told my father I was leaving, project or no project. He said if I walked out, I was walking out on the family. We yelled. I said things I can't unsay. He hates when anyone sees him lose control." Diep's stomach twisted. "So he hit you?" "Not him," James said. "He doesn't dirty his own hands, but he made sure someone else did." He gave a small, humorless smile. "They called it teaching me a lesson. After, he said if I went back to you, I'd regret it. I told him I already regretted staying away." For the first time, his eyes met hers fully. "I borrowed a bike from a worker and left before dawn. I lost my phone halfway down the mountain when I swerved to avoid a truck. That's why you couldn't reach me the last few days. I didn't know if I'd make it here before the surgery. The whole way, I just kept thinking, if I lose her mother and her, I won't have any home left." The balcony light hummed, a thin, fragile sound between them. "You chose us," Diep said slowly, "over him." "I chose what feels right," he corrected softly. "I chose the life we keep talking about and never letting ourselves live." His voice cracked. "But I know I'm late. I know you've been fighting alone. And I know my father hasn't just been keeping me away. He's been stepping into your world too." A sharp wind slipped around the corner of the building, making her cardigan flutter. This was the moment she'd practiced in her head 100 different ways. How to tell him about the documents, the stamp, the fact that the same man who tried to erase her had helped pay to keep her mother alive. Instead, what came out first was simpler. "It's been hard, James." Her throat burned. The stall, the rumors, the suppliers pulling away. I thought I was just failing. I almost believed what your father wanted me to believe, that I wasn't good enough, that maybe you were better off without me." His hand closed over the rail so tightly his knuckles went white. "Don't say that," he whispered. "Don't ever say that again." She looked at his bruised face, the fear in his eyes that had nothing to do with the men who hit him and everything to do with the woman standing beside him now. "There are some things you don't know yet," she said. "Things about your father, about my mother's surgery, about why my life suddenly started collapsing right after he asked me to disappear." He turned to her fully, the parking lot lights painting thin lines of gold across his features. "Then tell me," he said. "No more protecting me. No more carrying this by yourself. I can't fight what I don't see." Down the hall, a nurse called out for a doctor. Somewhere a door banged shut. Inside the ward, machines kept beeping their stubborn rhythm, life insisting on continuing. Diep drew in a long, shaky breath. "Okay," she said. "But once you hear it, you won't be able to unhear it. And whatever you decide after, it won't just be about us anymore. It'll be about who you choose to be in front of your father." "I already made that choice when I came back," James replied. "Now I just need to understand how deep his hands are in this." She glanced through the glass at her sleeping mother, at knee curled like a small comma on the chair, and then back at the man who'd fought his way home bruised and empty-handed, bringing only his stubborn heart. "The first clue," she began quietly, "was a red stamp at the bottom of a document from the district office." And as she started to unravel the web in careful, painful detail, the night around them seemed to hold its breath, because whatever came next would not just heal or break two hearts. It would redraw the lines of an entire family. "The first clue was a red stamp," Diep says, fingers tightening around the balcony rail. "I thought it was nothing, just some office formality." James listens, jaw tense. "The district office sent me a notice about my stall," she continues. "They said my space at the market couldn't be renewed. Guidance from above. When I went to collect the refund, there it was at the bottom of the page. A stamp that said workshop account, Thanjia Wood and Son Co." James goes very still. "My father's company." "Yes," she gives a small, humorless laugh. "At first I told myself it was a coincidence. Maybe your company sponsors different projects. Maybe it was some general fund, but then Mom's surgery happened." She tells him about the hospital visit, the cost, the way her brother looked like he'd aged 10 years in one day. The mysterious sponsor, the deposit that arrived right on time. The second document she saw almost by accident, the one with the exact same company name at the bottom. "Your father's money closed the door on my business," she says quietly, "and opened the door to the operating room that kept my mother alive. Same signature, same red ink." James presses his thumb hard into the railing, as if he needs pain to keep from floating away. "He didn't tell me," he says. "Not about the stall, not about the surgery. He just told me he was handling things so I could focus." Diep's voice softens, but the words don't. "He handled me like a problem to be removed, James. I lost my stall. My suppliers backed away. Cafes that had bought from me for years suddenly got nervous. People whispered that my food might not be safe. You know how long it took me to build that trust? To wake up at 4, fry until my back hurt, smile at people who still wanted discounts after all that?" He nods, throat working. "And while I was wondering if I was just not good enough," she continues, "while you were telling me to see it differently and maybe change niche, your father was signing transfers with my name written between the lines." He squeezes his eyes shut. I didn't know, he whispers. I swear I didn't know. I believe you, she says. It's not a comfort exactly, but it's something. But he did. He knew exactly what he was doing. He pulled the rug out from under me and then threw the same rug on the floor under my mother's bed and said, "Aren't you grateful?" A long silence stretches between them. Down in the parking lot, a car alarm chirps once, then stops. Inside, somebody laughs at something on TV. Life goes on, even when your own feels like it's cracked open. If it were just me, she admits, maybe I could swallow it. Maybe I'd say, fine, he hates me, he loves you, that's his right. But he reached into my work, my home, my mother. He reached into Nye's life. He sent his men to scare me. He told people I was a bad investment. He tried to make me disappear. And he did it with such a clean face that everyone would say I was overreacting if I told them. James turns then, shoulders squared but eyes wet. Why didn't you tell me earlier? She laughs softly, the sound frayed at the edges. Because every time we talked, you were tired, stuck out there with no signal, no way to fight back. You kept saying, don't carry everything yourself. But you also kept repeating your father's words without knowing it. About success, about me changing, about not letting love hold you back. She shrugs. I didn't want to become a weight. I didn't want you to feel like you had to choose between me and the man who raised you. He looks stricken. I was trying to encourage you. I thought I was being supportive. I know, she says. That's what made it harder. It wasn't you I was angry with. It was this invisible hand that kept slapping me and then patting you on the back. James leans his forehead briefly against the cool metal rail, then straightens. I told him, he says slowly, that if he kept pushing, he'd lose me. I thought that meant he'd back off. Instead, he doubled down when I wasn't looking. He called my brother, Diep says. Offered to pay for the surgery, didn't even hide his name on the transfer. He wanted us to know. He wanted me to look at your mother's heartbeat on that monitor and hear it say his name. The image lands like a punch, and James actually flinches. That sounds like him, he admits bitterly. He doesn't just want obedience, he wants gratitude for the chains. She studies his face. So what do you do with that? She asks quietly. Knowing your father tried to erase me, but his money also helped save my mother. Where do you put a man like that in your heart? James doesn't answer right away. He lets the question sit there, heavy as wet clothes. When I was a kid, he finally says, I thought my father could do anything. He built everything we had from nothing. He worked late, he made deals, he bragged about how he never owed anyone. My mother used to tell me, your father is a good provider, but be careful not to become hard like him. I didn't understand what she meant. And now? Diep asks. Now I see, he says. He thinks love is a transaction. He can buy my loyalty with tuition, with a job, with a title. He can buy your silence with hospital bills. He calls it taking responsibility. But really, it's all control. There's no triumph in his voice, only grief. I need you to know something, James adds. I didn't ask him to pay for the surgery. If I'd known, I would have found another way. Sold everything, borrowed, whatever it took. I don't want your mother's life to be his bargaining chip. Diep nods slowly. I know. That's why I didn't burn the hospital documents yet. He looks at her, surprised. Yet? She smiles sadly. Someday, when Mom is strong and we're not under his thumb, I might. Just as a ceremony. But for now, they're proof. Proof that he knew exactly what he was doing, and proof that we owe him nothing in our hearts, even if our paperwork says otherwise. James exhales, long and shaky. So where does that leave us? She bites her lip. Where do you want it to leave us? He doesn't answer right away. If I stay with you, he says carefully, I might lose him. The business, the inheritance, the easy path. He'll see it as betrayal, not independence. He's already halfway there. And if you go back to him? She asks, pulse climbing. If you let him think he won? James looks at her like she's asked him to imagine cutting off his own arm. Then I lose you, he says simply. Because I can't ask you to keep living under his shadow. Not after everything he's done. Not after I've seen how small he's willing to make you feel. The wind picks up, blowing a strand of hair across Diep's face. He reaches out and tucks it behind her ear, an old, unconscious gesture that somehow feels brand new tonight. I don't want you to choose in anger, she says softly. Anger burns hot, then leaves ash. This is bigger than a fight. It's your whole life. What about yours? He asks. You've already been rearranging it around his decisions, around my absences, around money you didn't ask for. Diep looks back into the room where her mother sleeps, where knee is now curled in a different position, arm flung over her eyes. My life has already changed, she says. The question is whether we let your father write the next chapter, or we finally write our own, and accept that we might lose some pages in the process. He swallows. If I walk away from him, it won't just be a dramatic scene in a movie. It'll be lawyers, family meetings, people telling me I'm ungrateful, my own relatives avoiding you because they're scared of him. I know, she answers. And if you don't walk away, it won't just be me quietly cooking in some corner while he glares. It'll be me teaching Nye that we accept being treated like problems if someone pays our bills. I can't be that version of myself, James. Even for you. They stand in that tension for a long time. The future hanging between them like laundry on a line. Everything visible, nothing folded yet. Finally, he says, I need time. Not to decide whether I love you. That part's done. I need time to figure out how to stand up to him without becoming like him. To find a way where we're not always bracing for his next move. She nods, relief and fear mixing. I can't promise I'll wait forever, she says honestly. But I can promise I won't make your decision for you. I won't leave quietly just to make things easier. If you choose me, I want it to be because you truly chose, not because I cornered you. He gives a small, broken smile. You've never cornered me, Diep. You're the only person who's ever given me a door instead of a cage. They both fall quiet as a nurse opens the ward door and calls out, Family of Lie's patient? They hurry back inside. The doctor has good news. Vitals are stable. No immediate complications. They'll keep monitoring, but for now, everyone can breathe. James reaches for Diep's hand. She lets him take it. As they stand there together at the foot of her mother's bed, fingers laced, the two realities exist side by side. A father whose money kept this fragile heartbeat going, and a son who might have to break that same man's heart to protect the woman standing next to him. Later that night, when the hospital quiets and Nye finally sleeps deeply, James walks Diep down to the gate. They stop under a dim street lamp. Whatever happens with him, he says, I'm coming back tomorrow. To visit Mom? She teases softly. And to see you, he answers. She nods, feeling both steadier and more uncertain than she has in a long time. Tomorrow. As she watches him walk away into the dark parking lot, a question tugs at her. Will tomorrow be the first day they start building a life free from his father's control? Or the beginning of a war that none of them are truly ready for? For now, there is no answer. Only the sound of her mother's steady breathing upstairs, the faint echo of James's footsteps fading into the night, and a red stamp waiting quietly in her notebook. Like a loaded ending no one has decided how to read yet. James rushes back to the hospital, bruised and exhausted, just as Diep's mother comes out of risky heart surgery. Nye clings to him in relief, and for a brief moment the little family feels alive again. But outside the room, Diep reveals what she's discovered. The same red company stamp on two documents, one that quietly killed her market niche, and one that secretly paid for her mother's surgery. Both belong to James's father. James admits his father isolated him, tried to teach him a lesson, and sent men to keep him away. Now he faces an impossible choice: stay loyal to the father who built his future, or stand with the woman whose life that same man is destroying. Diep won't disappear quietly, and James refuses easy answers, leaving their love balanced on a painful, unanswered question. What happens next?